known as $2 Tuesdays at wagertalk.com and sportsmemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.
Hey guys, welcome in a very happy Tuesday. Yes, it is definitely Tuesday, November the 8th. Welcome in the college basketball tip-off show powered by wagertalk.com. Ready to go here on a much smaller day number 2 slate here in college hoops. What a opening night it was across the board, but there are still a few games here on the schedule today that we're going to break down for you as we kick off the season. And we do it, of course, with 3 of the best you will see all season long. Ralph Michaels in the house, got his very special pen with us. Steve Merril, 2 R's and 1 L here, as is Mr. Tony Mejia, ready to roll here. Gentlemen, very happy Tuesday to you. And Ralph, we talked a little bit yesterday about what to expect here in this upcoming season. Inundated with games last night. Tell us what you got up at Wager Talk right now, and give us some of those thoughts on what you noticed last night.
Well, Joe, if they watched the show yesterday, that quick preview you and I did, I gave out a free client release. It was Indiana State, one of those teams that returned 5 starters. They did win that game by 27. I did a quick tweet today. There were 126 games day 1. The over-unders went exactly 50%. The dogs covered 53.3%. And there were 7 upsets by dogs of 9 or more. Florida Gulf Coast was plus 18. They beat USC. Stetson, Tony tweeted out, was plus 18 to Florida State. Wagner knocks off Temple. Sam Houston knocks off Oklahoma. I know you're crying about that. Southeast Missouri State beats USF. The USF still can't score. Western Illinois knocks off Illinois State. And Quinnipiac knocks off the Rams of Rhode Island.
Oh, I know you saw Quinnipiac coming there. Florida State, poor Leonard Hamilton, watching Stetson beat up on him, Ralph. I thought of you. Talk to me here, Merril. What is going on, my man? I know you got a lot going on between the hardwood, NBA now, college hoops, college football, NFL. What's going on at wagertalk.com?
Yeah, the schedule's never light for basketball bettors, right? Because a huge card last night, a little lighter tonight, but we have NBA college hoops on a daily basis now for the next half of a year. Just one day after the baseball season ends, college basketball begins. So a quick reminder, don't forget to vote today. I went out and did it earlier. And, Joe, once you get your citizenship, I got you some stickers as well. Future voter for you there.
Nice.
So looking forward to that day when we call you a proud American. I went to the game last night, actually. William-Mary Tribe, and this is just a text, kind of a big picture takeaway of the college basketball handicapping. 10 new players on the Tribe. They only have 4 guys that were even in uniform last year. A lot of Division I Power 5 transfers. They were winning 50-48, and they got outscored 26-9 the last, 7 minutes. Went under by a point. So that's kind of how early college basketball is. And they were playing a Naval Academy team that's very veteran, obviously. They had 2 returning starters, 5-letter winners. But Navy did something I've never seen before last night. I know the score. I was talking to him at halftime. He had to get a special scorebook last night because they have 25 on the roster. They brought 18 players on a road game. And I'm looking at their stats. They have 19 players returning from last year's team and only 5-letter winners. I've never realized basically everyone at the Naval Academy apparently plays basketball. But, yeah, College Hoops is here. Don't forget $49 7-day special at wagertalk.com.
Yeah, take advantage of it, guys. A lot of hoops here. Tony Mejia knows all too well about that. Mejia last night, college hoops, NBA, of course. A couple of more games here tonight. What do you got, if anything, ready to roll at wagertalk.com for us?
Ready to roll? Nothing yet. We will have a play on this college basketball card, maybe even 2. There's only 5 games, so that's a lot. There's Maction tonight in college football, Maction tomorrow as well, 3 games apiece. And NBA takes a break today, but is back tomorrow. I would have had a perfect NBA night, except I watched as both of my teams melted down. The Celtics against the Grizzlies, they had a big lead, missing free throws and whatnot. I got the right number enough to push, and then the Cavs are melting down in the last 5 minutes, blew a double-digit lead, and wound up losing outright to the Clippers. As that was happening, simultaneously, I was watching Oregon and USC go 1 of 13 from three-point range in their games, and I was on both of those. Oregon did recover to cover. USC obviously did not against Florida Gulf Coast. They tweeted out early, and I had no action in the game, but I was watching Stetson, Florida State, and I'm like, oh, Stetson looks pretty good. Florida State looks listless. The Hatters went on to win that game, and it just goes to show you that at least early in the season, just because you got into FSU and USC to play basketball, and you're clearly better than most people, cohesion and rhythm and teams that either know one another well or just catch you on a bad night can absolutely beat you at this level.
Oh, amen to that. Reminder that it's a very long season, gentlemen. And but hey, we got more games here tonight. We're going to start off here with an interesting one as we welcome back Purdue, the Boilermakers, laying it here tonight against Wisconsin-Milwaukee, 145 and a half as a total. 6:30 Eastern time tip here, and welcome back 9'9" Zach Edey here, Ralph Michaels, as he leads the Boilermakers. A little new look here for Milwaukee as well. So what do you think about this matchup?
Well, I want to play against Purdue, losing their entire backcourt. Ivy playing 35 minutes for the Pistons. Stevanovic playing in the Greek League. Trevelyan Williams playing in the G League. Your other 2 point guards, Eric Hunter and Isaiah Thompson, both transferred. So you have an entirely new backcourt. They brought in David Jenkins, who played about half the minutes for Utah last year. He got beat out by a freshman. So you have 2 freshman guards playing in this offense, which has said to have over 800 plays and is one of the toughest offenses to learn. So, and Brandon Smith, the freshman point guard, couldn't even practice. He had a leg injury. He didn't practice till a month before the season started. So I want to fade Purdue. The issue, though, is in Milwaukee, you have a first-year head coach and you have 0 returning starters. Their coach is a good one, though. Bart Lundy was with Queens. Queens was a Division II team. This is their first year in Division I. They're the Queens Royals. We talked about it yesterday. But they went to the D2 tournament 7 out of 9 years, and he had 3 30-win seasons. He brought over his one of his guards to play. But they also played yesterday. They played yesterday their scrimmage game against the Milwaukee School of Engineering, so nobody's. But they played well, and they played very, very fast. He is one of the most up-tempo coaches you will see. They will definitely be an over team this year. So I want to fade both, but, Lundy said, I did not make the schedule. I don't know who did. Who would schedule an exhibition game, a game before the season? So they played at home in an exhibition game. They got on a bus. They didn't get to Purdue until 12:30 in the morning. Then they had to start studying film. So a very, very good situation for them, but I can't get to the other side. 2 interesting players Milwaukee does have. They have Vin Baker's son, who is the leading returning scorer, and they have a Bull, Manutes and Bull's cousin, who's 7'1", who can play some decent defense and slow that big court of Purdue.
Yeah, they were pretty good at home last year. I think they're only 16-1 if I'm not mistaken, Merril. Purdue, nice little home court edge they got there, taking on this Milwaukee team. What do you think? It's a big number, man.
It is, and this is where it's so tricky for not only the handicappers but the odds makers in week 1, right? I mean, this Milwaukee team, as Ralph said, new coach, new starters. By the way, they're not young guys. I believe 4 of the 5 are third year or higher when you include the red shirts. So third year or higher starters. So there is some experience there. I do like the game. In fact, they got a game under their belt, even if it was against a weak blind, Sisters of the Blind or whoever they played. But still, the difference between winning the opening number of 27, now it's down to 25. It's very hard to say how much is Purdue going to win by. Big guys should score at will. Edie Download should score at will. The problem is someone has to get on the ball. And as Ralph said, they have absolutely no experience in the backcourt. And with Milwaukee pushing the pace and playing fast, you obviously need some guards. So I would lean towards the dog here. The early money is doing that as well. It's, like I said, 27. It's down to 25. Some of the sharper books around the world are 25. The less sharp are 25.5. So there's a little bit of sharp money on Milwaukee in this game, and I'm not going to disagree.
So Matt Painter against a coach Lundy that loves to run up and down the court here. Tony Mejia. It's an interesting total, too, there at 144.5, 145. How do you approach this game, Mejia?
I think I'm going to ride Milwaukee if I do anything with it. They have athleticism. This kid Markeith Browning was there last year, and last year was a circus because Pat Baldwin Jr. Essentially turned down all the big powers in the country to come play for his dad, try to save his job. It didn't work out because of injuries. And when he did get on the court, Baldwin wasn't great. He's actually on the Warriors roster, not even in the G League. He's on the roster. So it worked out for him. His dad is now an assistant at Georgetown. So he'll be fine too. And the cupboard, not necessarily bare. Browning's pretty good. They got Keon Edwards, a kid who was a top 40 recruit that played at Nebraska some. Didn't work out for him at all, but he was originally a DePaul commit. Ahmad Rand is well known in recruiting circles. Opened his career at Memphis. Guys that go to Memphis obviously can play and have potential. And he was at Oregon State, didn't play many minutes, and was still one of their top shot blockers. So I think Milwaukee's got enough talent to where they can challenge this Purdue squad enough to stay within 25 by game's end. And this Boilermaker backcourt, very young. Braden Smith, pretty small, but the Mr. Basketball in Indiana. Fletcher Lawyer is the son of a very esteemed college basketball coach in the Midwest. I'm sure Ralph's heard of him. And his brother, Foster Lawyer, played at Michigan State under Izzo, then transferred to Davidson. He had a 20-point piece last night for the Wildcats. So it's an accomplished family. I'm sure Fletcher Lawyer will be solid, but this will be a first interesting test. I won't say a huge test where they should be on upset alert, but I think taking the points is the way to go.
All right, there you go, guys. Should be a good one there with, be interesting to see what kind of Matt Painter and what kind of Purdue Boilermaker team we get here tonight. But we'll head out over to the Big East here and welcome back the darlings of the Big East last year. The Providence Friars only laying 13 in this one against Rider. 143 and, about 143 here for a total. Bit of a retooled roster for this Providence squad as well there, Ralph. I believe all 4 or 5 starters, I think they all graduated last year. So little different look here for the Friars this year. What do you think?
Well, I'm going to jump ahead and let you know this is my best bet. I did have a client release. This is an actual 3% client release, and I am on Rider plus 13. I'll basically just go over my write-up. If you look at this and you say, why is Providence only laying 13 at home? They were a team that won 27 games, won the Big East against a Rider team that only won 14 games. Well, you mentioned Providence, you mentioned 5 new returning starters, and the head coach Cooley didn't go transfer crazy. He has a couple young kids he likes. He's going to play his youth, and he decided that's the route he's going to do. He also made statements in the paper that because of the newness of my team, we have to change the style we play. So I am happy to look to fade those teams early as they try to miss and match their players to who's going to be the starters. On the flip side, Rider played well down the stretch. They were a very young team early. They ended up knocking off Iona in the MEAC tournament. They returned 4 starters, including a first-team preseason conference point guard. I have a point guard in Murray who I like against a young and inexperienced Providence point guard. And Rider now is 9 deep, and they like pressing the tempo. So I think they get enough done pressing the tempo against a brand new team that they'll get enough easy baskets. I like Rider to cover. Again, my best bet on the show and an actual 3% client release.
All right, Ralph going with the Bronx, huh? Love it. Ryder in the house here. You got a point about Cooley, though. Over the years, Mejia, he has not been a very good big favorite. His teams, for whatever reason, struggle to cover big numbers, and I think it was 32, 62, and 1 against the spread as a favorite of 7 or more in his career. So they're not very money-like when it comes to these big numbers. What do you do here with a 13 number up on the board?
I stay away from it because I don't trust Ryder's talent because I don't know it. And Providence, I'll tell you what, this is going to be a best bet, but it's going to be a best bet a different way. I'm going to ride the identities of both of these coaches and the fact that Ed Cooley really likes to pull back more than anything else, and he loves his defense. We'll just see if there's an ability to play the way that he did with Nate Watson through the middle in the post, and Ali Durham, who was a big ball pressure. Jared Bynum's a smaller point guard, but I think he can pressure you. They got Noah Locke, who started his career at Florida and played at Louisville last season. He'll play on the wing. Big Ed Croswell will be the enforcer there, and they've got Devin Carter, the all-SEC freshman team last year at South Carolina. So there's talent there, and Marist lost its top 2 players. Ricardo Wright went to SMU. Jawi Tuka went to Wake Forest. But John Dunn, what he did at St. Peter's and what he's done, at Ryder is slow down tempo and defend. And really, it's a grind to play his team. So pressure you and pressure you into mistakes, but then they pull back. So early in the season, guys not shooting straight just yet. I think I'll rely on the under.
All right, looking at the towards the under here. How about you, Merril? Here, you trust Cooley to get it done as a 13-point favorite. It's not been profitable as of late either.
I always wondered if Tony Mejia moves the betting markets in college hoops because I know he's sharp. And as he is talking about the under, the board is lighting up. I think he clicked that right before you went to him because this opened 139. It was as high as 143. And honestly, like 2 minutes ago, the Wager Talk free live odds screen started lighting up. It's back down to 142, 141 and a half. So honestly, right before Tony came on, I think he click that underplay. I do think the tempo could be up tempo, like Ralph said. So I do think that's why we saw some early money with the over. Obviously, Providence working a lot of new pieces is a concern on offense. But, I saw this last night with William and Mary with all those new players. They played some terrible defense. And if you think about it, you do need to have some team chemistry on defense as well. So we'll see how that total plays out. The side has not moved at all. It's been 13 since the opener. I, like Ralph, would lean towards Ryder in this one. 4 returning starters. And as he said, their 14-19 record last year, a little misleading as they played better down the stretch, including knocking off the number 1 seed. And Providence, let's keep in mind as well, was the luckiest team in college basketball last year. Over 300 teams in the Ken Palm rankings. We talked about this so often last spring about Providence being lucky, better than that number 2 seed really should have been in the NCAA tournament. Well, never really caught up to them. They had a nice little run to the Sweet 16. I think maybe this is the year that we fade them, especially with some new pieces against a veteran team with 4 returning starters. And by the way, Ryder was only 200th in the luck rating. So I like Ryder plus 13 here. I do agree with Tony. I think there's a talent gap even with new players for Providence, but I think they're catching them at the right time early in the season. Ryder plus 13 would be my play.
All right, Ryder plus 13. Go ahead, Ralph.
I went to the database as you gave out that great stat about Providence. Since 2018, even with those quality teams he has, he's 3-13 ATS as a favorite of 7 or more. And this is surprising. He's only 10-8 straight up his last 18 games as a favorite of 7 or more. Now, they did run the table last year. They did go 5-0 with that great team. But previously, he showed some chinks in the armor as a big favorite.
Yeah, got especially early on in the season, too. But Providence got an opportunity to open up the season with a W. We'll see if they can get it done here tonight, and we'll head out west. We got a late game here tonight, I believe, as Georgia Southern going to be taking on the Spartans at San Jose State in this one. Do we have that game up or no? Well, we're going to go with it anyway. How's that? Georgia Southern, 9 players returning from last year's team. Ralph, I believe 9. And I know San Jose State, although they didn't have a great year last year, they are returning 4 or 5 guys, 4 or 5 starters from that team as well. So we've got some experience here in this late game. What are you thinking, Ralph?
Well, San Jose State, to me, always underimpressed. They have they really helped their front court with two transfers, both 6'8", one from Temple, one from Fresno, that they think can help them. Omari Moore is a decent player. Blue Ribbon said he's NBA potential. I'm not quite sure that's the case, but we'll see what happens. To me, it's simple. Early in the season, you have a team like Georgia Southern and close to a picking game that plays defense. I am going to back that team or fade them. Brian Berg is now in his 3rd season at Georgia Southern. He's a Texas Tech disciple. He went with all his kids the last couple years, and they still had 3 straight 20-win seasons. They're a team that is going to play defense. They do have chemistry, and it's only one way for me. It didn't make my card, but a clear lean for me with the defensive team. By the way, Georgia Southern stays out in California, and they play California Thursday night. So we'll see how their defense plays this week, today, and if they do play well like I expect, perhaps getting double digits against Cal will be a look ahead on Thursday.
Yeah, you saw him last year with this Eagles team. They like to play defense, a Tech disciple. I love that there, Mejia, because I believe 14 times last year they held opponents under 60 points. So I don't think we're going to get a big high-scoring game in this one here against San Jose State. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Ralph completely. I want to trust a team that I know has been practicing over the last month or so on defense first, because that's what Berg does. That's how games are won. And early on, if you're going to defend and make a team work, I think you have a big advantage. Omari Moore is the best player on the floor, so you fear that. And San Jose is in its own gym, but certainly that didn't stop Flagler, Florida Gulf Coast from going to USC and beating Stanford at the USC at the Galen Center. And then we've got Georgia Southern. They've got Rod Strickland's son, Ty, out of Temple, is going to play a large role there. But they lost their top scorer, Elijah McCadden. He transferred out to Memphis and played last night. So from that standpoint, they did lose a key player. Maybe that keeps the scoring down. Under would be the play here.
Yeah, it's kind of like you look for these defensive teams early on in the season, Merril, here the first week or so, because you know what you're going to get. Also, a ton of experience on the court with these two teams tonight.
Yeah, and something else that often gets overlooked because it's not popping up, in the regular matchup data and whatever, these exhibition games, because some teams play more than others. And San Jose State did play one this past weekend, and they had a nail-biter against a Division II Cal State Los Angeles team. They only won 69-66. So they only beat a Division II team by 3 points this past weekend. I think that shows that they're going to have some growing pains out of the gate, a team that went just 8-23 last year. Now, they do get Moore back, who did flirt with the NBA. Whether he's good enough or not is another story, but he thought he had a chance. And then also they get that 7-footer back, Diallo, whatever his name is. So there is some size down low, and rebounding actually does look like a strength. And they out-rebounded that Division II team 45-17, even though they barely won. I bring that up because Georgia Southern's problem last year was a lack of rebounding. They're going to take more threes. So they're going to take threes. They're not going to get second chance points. San Jose State obviously struggled to score against a Division II team. I think the under does make sense here. This line has gone from 4 down to 3.5 as far as the point spread. Defensive dog with more experience makes sense as well. The West Coast trip does concern me a bit. It's interesting, though, that they're staying out there for the next game, and they have had time to get out there, obviously, because they haven't played before this. But I think the under is probably the best option here. It opened 134.5. It is up to 135.5 in many locations. But if you look at some of the leading indicator books around the world, it's still 134.5. So I think that's where the sharp money is. It's on the under in this game.
Yep, under is the way to look there, guys. All right, that's the late game here on the card. Again, it's a small card here tonight, but some opportunities presenting themselves in college hoops. So like we often do, we'll go around the horn here and see if there is a play on the board these guys like a little bit more than the rest. So, Ralph, you had mentioned this earlier, so go ahead and rehash it for us. Tell us, where is your best bet on the board here tonight?
Well, best bet is actually client release. 3% play, game 753, Rider plus the 13.
Hoping for a little more Mississippi Valley State, but that's all right. It's plenty of time, Ralph. We'll get there. Talk to us here, Merril. Where you go for a best bet here on the board tonight?
Yeah, look at the late game for Tuesday night college basketball. Quick reminder, 7 days for $49. No promo code needed right now at wagertalk.com. Check out my page, Steve Merril, as I've gotten off to some fast starts in basketball. Had an over an 80% start in college hoops a couple seasons ago. I believe it was like a 17-4 start, just remarkable out of the gate. We really do find value early in the season in college hoops. Free play for tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday. Going to look at the under between Georgia Southern and San Jose State. San Jose State was just 8-23 last year. They do return some pieces to that bad team, but they struggled in an exhibition game this past weekend against Division II team Cal State, or Cal Davis, whatever their name was, 69-66, narrow win. They did have a 45-17 rebounding edge, though, and Georgia Southern had big rebounding problems last year. Georgia Southern relies on slow-down, half-court defense. They return 9 guys from that team. So I look for an ugly game tonight, but it'll be a profitable game if you have the under. Under 135.5, Georgia Southern, San Jose State, Tuesday night, 10 Eastern. And don't forget some great specials right now, including on my page, Steve Merril, wagertalk.com.
Boom, getting it done. Love it. All right, Tony Mejia, tell us on this limited card here tonight, where are you leaning here for a best bet?
Well, my best bet yesterday, and I gave this out at Wager Talk today, and it was a client play, was that under in Memphis and Vanderbilt. And it was, 34-22 at the half. I think it was like 27-11 at some point. And we wound up losing it. And I, thankfully, and also, he jinxed me, but thankfully Teddy asked me, what about the first half? I said, well, I like the first half, but I think full game works too. And he's like, yeah, games in the last 2 minutes tend to get out of hand, or there's foul fest or whatever. And so, yeah,
Fair
thanks,
enough.
Teddy. So, yeah, we had a nice bad beat there right out of the gate. I mentioned that the under it was my play, I think, in the Marist game. But I'm also looking to see if Winston Tabbs is going to play for East Carolina against Mercer. So maybe I'll tweet that out, and because that would be a client play if he is involved. He missed all the last year with injuries, a BC transfer. East Carolina is debuting under a new coach, and Mercer lost its top 2 players from last year and then a few years ago. Naftali Alvarez, the Puerto Rican point guard, both now at Southern Miss. So Gary is at Mercer right now. I think East Carolina at home might be a nice play if Tabbs plays. So I'll try to tweet that out later if I see it.
All right, getting it done there. And there you go here, guys. Also, our friends from the Gold Sheet. Looks like they got themselves a play here tonight as well. And I believe they're looking at the Coppin State. Is that Georgetown? Does that look familiar at all there, Ralph or Tony? You guys happen to know anything about this best bet here over at thegoldsheet.com, which, guys, by the way, if you have not, head over to thegoldsheet.com. What are you waiting for? Always great write-ups like this, great information all throughout the college basketball, NBA seasons, you name it. They've got it for you there. And I do believe the best bet, if I'm not mistaken, is Georgetown. Am I reading that correctly, Ralph? Is that right?
Yeah, but it's not on Georgetown's minus 18.5.
Yes.
So it's one of the extra games, with Hartford and Sacred Hearts tonight. Yep. Tony, I do have one note for you. I did go into the Greenville Reflector this morning, and Schwartz said he's not going to say whether Tabbs starts, and he's not going to tell who's starting the game. Tabbs was practicing. Tabbs did not play in their warm-up, and he did not give a reason why. So I don't think you'll find out the answer whether Winston Tabbs is going to play or not tonight.
All right, good stuff there.
I think he'll play, though, but he's cleared for contact. I think they're hiding him. So I just told Will, he's like, what's your best bet? I said, put ECU with Tabbs in parentheses. He gave me a question mark, but I think we'll see that because that's really what I meant.
Oh, you're thinking the player, the best. You think they're hiding him this early, and I love that. All right.
Oh, yeah, of course they are.
That's
right.
It's
coaching.
Screw you, Mercer. They're hiding them on you. I love it. All right, guys, one more time there. Yes, extra card there. Coppin State taking on Georgetown with our Gold Sheet friends. They say take the 18.5 points, while Ralph says take the 13 with Ryder taking on Providence. Tony Mejia, He's going East Carolina with tabs, baby. Make sure he is playing. Apparently, they're stuffing him in a trunk somewhere, but they'll bring him out here tonight. And Steve Merril, he is all over Georgia Southern and the San Jose State under, as is the market right now, under 135 and a half. And make sure you visit all three of these gentlemen, guys, over at wagertalk.com. Great stuff there for you on Steve's page, Ralph's page, and, of course, Tony Mejia's page. Best bets are available. Do yourself a big favor, guys. Those 3-day, 7-day, and 30-day all-access packages are really the way to go. All sports, all best bets delivered to you immediately, so you can always know and don't have to guess as to what these guys are playing. Great stuff there over at wagertalk.com. Hit the bell in the upper right-hand corner. Hit the subscribe button. Download the brand-new Wager Talk TV app across all of your gadgets, whether it be your tablets, your smartphones, your smart TVs. Content on demand, guys. That's what it's all about. Download it at the App Store, Wager Talk TV. And on behalf of Ralph, Tony, and Steve, we appreciate the time, guys. Best of luck with your plays tonight. Come back and join us again tomorrow for another edition of the College Basketball Tip-Off Show. Until then, good luck, guys. We'll see you.
The college basketball season is less than 1 week away, and the season starts with a bang. There are 126 games scheduled for Monday, November 7th, with Baylor and Mississippi Valley State tipping off at noon Eastern Time. We have 2 ways to help you get this season underway. Number 1, as we did for the start of the NHL season and as well as the beginning of the NBA season, all 7-day college basketball packages will be only $49 through Sunday, November 13th at midnight. Number 2, head to Ralph Michaels' homepage at wagertalk.com and get the free 100-page college basketball preview. The shortcut to Ralph's page is wt.buzz/rm. This 100-page guide has returning starters, percentage of returning minutes, last season's overall stats, as well as conference-only statistics, plus against the spread and over-under data. It also includes coaching data, conference previews, and a forecast for each conference. Whether it's a 7-day college basketball package, checking the Wager Talk odds page for updated numbers, or downloading the free college basketball guide, enjoy this season. And March Madness will be here before we know it.